Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual meeting of Settle Town Council's Allotments Committee meeting on Monday, 7th of December. We've got provisional participation first, and parishioners' comments will be taken before the meeting, and after that, generally, it's observing only. So our first, well, parishioners' comments can go first, actually. So, Toby, would you like to start, please? You are on mute at the minute.
Tony or Toby you want? Tony or Toby?
Oh, sorry, Toby, if possible. But
Or whoever wants, but not anybody. I think Toby's
So Toby or Tony?
Toby. Yourself. Hello, Toby.
Hello, right, sorry. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't expected to be on quite this early and I'm still driving home, but I pulled into a suitable wet lay-by at the top of Booker Brow, so I nearly made it.
Right.
Okay, so I had a couple of points. One was for an update for plots 13A and 13B at Dog Meadow. And so that was just my first question.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've agreed in the previous meeting to actually do some work on those, and my concern is that actually, you know, if they're going to be wild, you know, a wild space, then they need managing as such, or if they're going to be, we need to sort of not end up with something that's just going to be full of weeds there, which the surrounding allotments, of which I'm one of the tenants, would then suffer. That's question one. Question two is down in the bottom corner as you come through the first gate. There's an allotment there, which has recently been taken over by the Joe Rhodes and the community team, but it's got a very useful sort of almost large well in it, which is being allowed to silt up and has now got quite a lot growing in it, which when I first came used to have quite a lot of water flowing through there, and I'm concerned that that will be a blockage and a further problem with water logging at that bottom end. That's question two.
Yeah.
And question three was just a request, and I've realised, having looked at the website, that I can find more online, but whether those of us who do receive our annual bills by email could have the calling notices for the allotment meetings by email as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, the Dog Meadow allotments is item number 4 on this agenda, so your points will be discussed by the council at that point. Is there anything else you'd like to add right now?
No, not at all. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, lovely. Well, thanks for that. And as I said, that'll be discussed as item 4 on the agenda. You might get yourself home by then.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can we come to Tony next, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
You're very faint.
Very faint. Okay. Don't think I'll shout a bit louder. Is that any better?
Okay.
My concern is about plots 8A and 8B. We've had a lot of flooding, especially through this last year. Flooding got worse after the work that was done in about 2016-17, which was expected to do some drainage work on those plots, but never really touched them. But in the intervening period, the flooding's got gradually worse through the winter. But this year, and I recognise it's been a wet year, we've been flooding all the way through the summer. It's my understanding that probably the main drain is blocked down that route, and I think the water is backing up. There is a subsidiary branch drain that was installed by one of the previous tenants. It comes onto plot A. I think the water's backing up the main drain and then flooding out onto plot 8A. The last meeting I attended was in March, when there was some discussion about actually putting a camera down that drain to see to see what the situation was. I've not managed to get to a meeting since last March, but going through the minutes, I noticed you've got some discussion about some work on drainage, but I'm not aware that anything's actually happened in the intervening period. So my question is really about the drain down
Okay.
the main path.
Okay, and that's on Dog Meadow as well, isn't it?
Yes, that's Dog Meadow, yes.
Yeah, so again, the council will be discussing that under item 4 then, if you'd like to listen for that. Chris, okay. Chris, did you have anything to say? Are we happy observing or?
I'm okay, thank you. I just thought you needed supporting. Okay,
thank you very much. So, so item 1 on our agenda today then is to receive apologies. Have we got any, Rebecca?
So yeah, we've got apologies from Councillor Balsamini, and I haven't heard from, and Councillor Catherwood. He said he'd been called out to work, so would join us if he could. So Balsamini and Catherwood.
But not Joe.
But I haven't heard anything from Joe, Councillor Lord.
Okay, so I assume everyone's happy to accept those apologies that have been given?
Yes.
Yeah, great, okay. So item 2 then is to record any disclosure of pecuniary interests and declaration of other interests. So do any councillors have any interest they wish to declare? No, all shaking heads, great, okay. Item 3 then is to approve Councillor Yates' membership of the Allotments Committee. I assume we're all happy to welcome Peter to the Allotments Committee? Yes, okay. So right, quickly on to, before we go on to item 4, we just wanted to raise something about the current avian flu problem with regard to the hens and everything that are being kept on the allotments. So did you want to say something about this, Rebecca?
Yeah, so we haven't received any official notice from the government, which we normally do. However, Councillor Taylor mentioned it, he must have been aware of it, and I went onto the National Allotment Society website and there is up-to-date information and also government advice about keeping all poultry hens inside. So what I've done is I've got the guidance. I will print it off. I'll put it in all the notice boards in both Dog Meadow and Cannock Lane, and I think I would recommend that we write directly to all those plot holders who have hens to say you do need to make provision for your hens. But in addition, after a site inspection on Friday last week, I noticed that there were still quite a few cockerels, and there shouldn't be. They're supposed to be being rehoused. I've got rid of certainly by now. There's a few that have been there a long time now, and they were supposed to be getting rid of them. So
can we write to those allotment holders that
we have a list of who have hens, and
okay,
so I can do individual letters and also put the notices up, and then we'll probably give people some time to make provision and get them to contact us if they're having difficulty or whatever, and at least we can then re-inspect to make sure people have got their hens inside.
Yeah, okay. Yes, David?
There is a time limit on this, and it's the 14th of December.
All right.
All the hens have to be in by the 14th.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't aware of that. So if we get the notices out now and give them till the 14th, and then we'll inspect a week, a day or so after that. Yeah. That's
so
okay.
So we're all happy for Rebecca to write to everybody concerned that currently has hens then. Brilliant, thank you. So if we go on to agenda item 4 then, which is Dog Meadow. So regarding comments and correspondence from allotment holders, obviously we've just heard about the current one. So if I go back to Dog Meadow initially, plots 13A and 13B that would be advised to have rubbish on them. David, you're probably more familiar with these allotments than I am. So currently nobody has those, do they?
No, not at all. And it is being used as a dump. There's a lot of old rotting vegetation there. It's very overgrown, and I know there is a concern there from the plot holders there.
When we did the inspection in the summer, did we not have a discussion about maybe getting Glyn to clear that or something?
We did, yes.
Yeah, through the chair. The handyman was tasked with this. I will check because he said it would cost something like £250 and he'd be able to get a mini digger in to clear it.
That's right.
And that was the one that was easier to do in terms of, however, if it's wet now, I'm not sure he'll get one on because there's drains fairly near to the surface. I need to speak to him to find out what's happened or when he will be able to do it. But also, in addition to that, we agreed to do 11A, which is split now into 1 and 2.
Yeah, remember
There's a
that.
bit at the end with a massive mound. That's going to be more difficult to clear unless we can clear it from there onto 13A, 13B.
Yeah.
And then when the weather's better, we can get it all off 13A, 13B and re-let those plots ready for April. But that's going to take it's going to be a timing issue with weather and conditions of the ground. But I'll speak to the handyman and chase him up on that and get a plan together.
So I think we can say that it's in hand. But
it's been agreed and it should have been done. I'm not sure why it hasn't, but I'll chase him. I can check.
Okay, then. So hopefully, as soon as the weather's good enough and it can get a digger on there, it'll be clear.
Doing it. But we need to keep the other one first, I think, because that's more enclosed. You can't get a digger in there. It needs to come off there onto the others and then be cleared from there, I think.
Yeah. Okay, then. So hopefully by the beginning of next year, weather allowing.
Yeah, we should have 3 more plots available. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, the issue raised with the drains. Who's got that plot? Do we know the one that?
So 8.
Toby mentioned that there was looking silted up.
Oh, sorry, 38. Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So what historically has happened, and I did update Toby by email. I don't know whether they got it before he left work. Is that historically the tenant would clear it.
Yes.
And that's not happened. And actually, the community hub haven't really done very much on it. And I think we need to get in touch with them to find out.
Oh, is that one in the middle?
Yeah, it's got it's like a swimming pool. Yeah, in the middle. Yeah. So, however, we have also paid for that to be done as well. So when we had some drainage works, we said, and while you're here, can you get all the silt out of that pond? Okay. So we could either, if they've not got the wherewithal, which I don't think they have, to be honest, and not done anything on it, I would recommend that we either get Glyn at it or we get, when we get the drainage works done, it gets done. But I think we should do it sooner rather than later.
Yes, I do. Well, if the community hub, are they paying rent on it, currently? So they've got it.
They've paid rent on it, but they haven't really done very much to it. And they've got some weird idea about it. Not weird, but what's the word? It's a strange labyrinth.
Alternative.
Alternative. Yes. Sorry, I apologise for using that word. Alternative. Yeah. And I need to write to them to explain. They can't put sort of like a permanent kind of path structure on it. People do put paths on, but they're usually slabs that can lift up on gravel. It's an actual labyrinth of paths that they want to have on it, to then have herbs around the side and sort of for disabled access. I think it needs a lot more planning and thought, and they can't get it on the plot that they're on. It's on a sloping site. I think we need to work with them on that and see what they want to do, but I don't think it's a great idea.
Is it worth getting in touch with them and explaining that it's silted up, see if they say they're going to clear it?
They're the first port of call. I can imagine, I'm just kind of doing they're the first port of call, then it's handyman, and actually then it's drainage people, depending on what it looks like. And Glyn will tell us. I think he has done a little bit of work on it, but it's really, that's another mini digger kind of job. Yeah.
I mean, is it worth asking them if they still want it, if they're not doing anything on it? Because that could be
been asking for another one.
Oh, right, okay.
But I need to have a conversation with them, really.
Yeah. Yes, David, you got a hand up?
I was wondering whether we could have an on-site visit with them, and then they could go over properly and we could talk with them and do it that way.
I think we need to find out what their plans are and discuss it and tell them what's okay and not okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll arrange that.
Yeah, and then in terms of the silting up, you're going to ask Glyn to have a look at that, and we'll try and get that sorted as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So there was one more issue, I think, that Toby raised, which is about sending email notices of the allotment meetings to tenants. Does any council members have any thoughts on this?
They are notified via the notice board anyway.
Yeah.
They've only got to check that and it's there.
Yeah.
I think moving forward, it could probably be the way forward.
Well,
but again, it's more hours then, isn't it?
Exactly. My thoughts on it were that the notices are posted. Obviously, we have to display a notice at the town hall, which we do. When we get the new notice board in the market square, they'll be going on there.
Yeah.
They're also posted at each allotment.
That's right.
They go on our web page, they go on our Facebook page.
But we don't need nothing else then.
Well, and when we put the minutes on of the last meeting, the date of the next meeting is on that, and those paper notices are displayed at the allotments. I just feel that with people perhaps changing plots, and there's a lot of people, I just feel that it's a lot of work for Rebecca and Katie.
Yeah.
And then who's to say then, if we want parishioners to join, say, the annual town council meeting or whatever, they might be saying, well, I'd like an email, and I think we advertise it enough on various different formats.
So we keep it status quo then.
Yeah, basically, because the minute the agenda goes up, and then the minutes go up with the date of the next meeting on. So, and that's on the notice board for 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I think it's a good idea, but I think it's too much work for very little gain for the council.
Yeah.
I think one of the slight issues from my point of view and Katie's is that people do change emails, don't tell you.
Yeah.
We do let plots out fairly frequent. You know, they're changing, and to update a distribution list like that would be quite an onerous task, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to do it, you'd do it, but it would be quite a bit more work.
Well, I'd like to propose that we do, and we leave it the advertising of the meetings as it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, what we can do as a sort of an interim solution is, when we do our calendar of meetings, we are now planning them so far in advance. We will put that up so they know when the meetings are coming up, as well as the minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I can do that easily. We can do that in advance.
What I'm wondering as well is, on the next newsletter, on the back, could we publish our dates of our meetings on the newsletter?
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So dates of all full council and committee.
Yeah, on the back of the newsletter.
On the back. So that'll be.
You know where councillors contact.
That'll be February, March, won't it? I'm thinking November.
Good idea.
January. Yeah, that'll be in 6 months' time, won't it?
Or if the chairman's bit on the front is a bit smaller, we could actually
put the dates on the front.
But perhaps just rejig it and have space for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The back actually is a better place.
Yeah, that'd be fine for me.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the next point for Dogmeadow then is the drainage on 8A and 8B, which has been suggested that it's a blocked drain.
Yeah. It's just as an update, I wasn't aware that was a major issue. I wasn't at the meeting in March. It was the Deputy Clerk who was running the allotment committee meeting. So, and the minutes don't really specify where the drainage works were going to be. We did do some down the other path by 21A, and we put a camera down and did all the work. Now, I'd have to look back at the records to find out exactly when that was. But now we've been made aware of this issue at 8A, 8B. There is a drainage inspection hole in the path, and then there are herringbone drains going off that. So we could contact. I think what we probably need to do is go down and speak again, and probably another site meeting, to make sure we understand the issue, see where the problem is, and literally see it on the ground, because discussing it here in the meeting is not quite the same as when you get down there and see it. So again, I'd recommend site visit first with some councillors and myself or Katie, and then we would then go towards getting the drainage company in that we used last time, see if they'd put a camera down for us. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was, well, I don't know who it is, but I'll get the contract.
What sort of cost is it, Rebecca?
Right, that's what I'd have to check as well, because I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But when they get it out for a day, and I think so. There's a charge of tracking this vehicle from wherever it is to wherever, and then the camera, and it's so much per day. I mean, I think maybe 500 quid it might be, and that's just to put. But they might come and do the work there, and then if you see something, So I'll have to find out. It's been a year or so since I did that, so I'll have to have a look.
So would it be worth then, before we have the site inspection, could we perhaps find out the proposed cost, and then when we go down and have a look at it, we can also discuss the cost implications then. So yes, Peter.
I noticed that on Brockhall Lane, there's signs up from the county council about renewing it and making it into a bridle way.
Yes,
That's the lane itself.
Yeah, but is that going to impact on the drainage?
Well,
I don't know what they're
Depends
going
what we're going to do. Yeah, I don't know.
We need to find out what they're going to do before we spend any money.
there's a planning application in for that, I think.
Is it?
Well, there's a sign up.
There's a sign up. I'm thinking of something else.
Okay, I could contact. I've got the details of the change to the public footpath order, making it into a bridle way. I'll contact North Yorkshire County Council and ask them what the plans are to improve it and how that will affect surrounding fields and the allotments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I thought the bridle way was a bit further on, not by the allotment. I thought it was further on.
Well,
It's the path, David. It's from the start of Brockhall Lane all the way through.
Right through. Right.
You know when you come across the road from Rumley Mill and go up to Lodge Farm?
That's right, yeah.
It's there. It's from that end to the other end. I walked it the other day. So yeah, I can try and find out about that.
Yeah.
So if the contractor.
Yeah.
And then we'll arrange a site visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So presumably you can send an email out to arrange a site visit with us.
Yeah.
Once we've got that information.
Contact North Yorkshire County Council.
Yeah.
Cost it out.
Yeah.
Arrange a site visit.
Yeah. Is it worth, when we do the site visit, is it worth seeing if Glyn's available? And then he could look at because they're all on Dog Meadow, all these problems. So we could have a chat with him about all of that. He could maybe look at the drain bit as well. Because then if we do end up getting the camp, if we end up getting the camera stuff in, I'm assuming it might be Glyn that would liaise with them anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe ask him when he's free to attend that as well. And then we could look at all of these problems together with a view to getting them sorted.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay. So I think that was everything that was raised at the beginning of the meeting. So if we can go on to item 4B, which is the email from the tenant regarding the culvert.
Yeah, I think this is something really, it's more for to know. I don't think he's copied us in. He hasn't been emailing us, said the town council directly. Yeah. But he does, I think he has an issue at the culvert up at the top of I think it's plot 31, which is right up in the corner, but it's quite a large plot. Yeah. And he's saying that the outflow from the old reservoir runs through and down the hillside to the boundary wall in the southwest. So the culvert is broken or collapsed, and he said that then creates issues down at Dog Meadow. He's been in touch with Yorkshire Water and also and he's been in touch with the auctioneer saying you need to make people aware of this. Okay. I think that was his issue. So really it's for our information, but I suggest that when we do the site visit, we have a look at plot 30 and see if there's any issues there.
Yeah. I mean, who's the current owners of the reservoir?
I don't know, and I don't know whether they've gone. The details will be on the planning application when they made it into hydroponics.
Yeah, it's right.
Could we not write to them and inform them that it's causing a problem? Well, imagine them we're getting involved in it.
No, and they're selling it. It's the auctioneers who are the agents.
Yeah, fair enough. So I think maybe so if the tenant's dealing with it, then it's probably just for our advice sort of thing, isn't it?
I think really we need to see what's happening with that. That might be something that we leave till they've sorted that bit out.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think it's going to make any difference what we do at this end.
No. Okay. So right. So item 4C is a report of an unstable dry stone wall.
Yeah. So this is on the boundary. So the first gate. So it's plots 1A through down to 6. There's two walls are very badly bulging that are going to come down. The farmer who has that land stopped me in the street and told me and said, if you want to get them done, do it now, because if they go, there'll be sheep and cows in there, which we don't want. Okay. So the first one is near plot 1A on that wall. And there's a tree there that wants to come out because that's what's doing part of it, I think. Yeah. And then further down at 5, plot 5B, there's another really badly damaged bulge in the wall, and that's going to go at any point. Okay. So if you want to delegate authority to me to get the usual waller that we have an allotment holder who is a waller.
Okay.
Yeah,
are we all happy to get those repaired then? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So yeah, that's fine. So that's it on Dogmeadow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So agenda item 5 then is Camlet Lane, to receive any comments and correspondence from allotment holders and agree action as appropriate. Have we got anything for Camlet Lane and Rebecca?
Well, there are no tenants on this meeting at the moment, but no. So the only only correspondence we've got,
it's just the email,
is the email about requesting the plot to be measured. Now, okay. I think this is she's asking somebody to come and remeasure her plot, which she's had for over 20 years. But some people are saying she says she's got too much. And so she'd like to rearrange. I want to rearrange my allotment.
Oh, I saw that.
I don't know what she means by.
It was worded quite funnily, wasn't it?
I don't know what she means by rearranging. I did send her a response saying this would need to be discussed by council, because if we measure one, you measure them all.
Yeah.
You can't just go around. So the difficulty is that is a task in itself. Yeah. Just because of the allotment holders have commented, they haven't said anything to us or complained. It's up to the council whether you want to undertake such a task. I mean, it might be something you might want to plan for and budget for in the future, and you measure them all, and then you square meters, and then you have a pence per square metre.
I think the issue with having this done, because there would be, bearing in mind how much rent it has, and the fact that we like the allotments to be self-funding, this would take a considerable amount of the allotments funding.
Yeah.
That could be spent on other things, such as drainage and clearing things and that sort of thing. And I don't particularly see what gain any of the allotment holders collectively would get out of measurement, because that we're then creating even more work for ourselves in that, well, who pays what and that sort of thing. And I appreciate it would be done by so much per square metre or whatever. But I think there's other things we could be spending the allotment money on other than that. And if she's been there for 20 years, all of a sudden she's saying, I want my allotment measuring, it just seems unnecessary, I think. I don't know what
I can go back, I can contact her and just say there are no plans to measure the plots at the moment, but if you want to talk to me a little bit more about, because I don't understand why. I don't know what she's talking about rearranging it. I don't know what that means. Whether she wants to split it, I don't know.
The thing we don't want to do is start having the situation where the allotments are not self-funding, because we've always said that they're going to be self-funded, aren't they, from rent?
Well, they have to be.
Yeah. I think maybe, we could go back to and say we've no immediate plans to measure.
Yeah. And I'll see if I can find out what she means by rearranging her allotment. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I'll probably go with that, yeah.
Yeah.
So no immediate.
Okay with that, Peter, yeah. Okay.
And I'll try and contact her and get some more information about what she wants to rearrange.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just generally though, does anybody have any thoughts on measuring allotments?
I think the task would be quite enormous.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of man hours, which comes out of the budget.
Yeah.
Which could be better spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
I find most people on there are quite happy. So it's status quo, leave it as it is.
Yeah. Are you in agreement with that, Peter? Or?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's just open a can of worms if you go around measuring them. Somebody will be unhappy.
Yeah. And some people will end up paying more.
Yes. And some will come up short, and
some people end up paying less.
Where do you give it them from?
Yeah. I think it would open a huge can of worms for not a lot of gain for anybody, really.
That's right.
There's no statutory requirement for us to measure them or anything like that. Is there?
Historically, they were measured in poles and
rods and perches.
There's a very ancient measurement for them, which you know, they've evolved and they're not measured like that anymore.
Okay. So you're just going to respond to the lady, dig a bit deeper and tell her we've no immediate plans for measurement?
Yeah, will do.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go on to item 6, which is plot inspections 2020, A is to update and seek approval to terminate tenancies where there is a breach of agreement. Was this something that you were speaking about, Katie?
At the moment, we've got a small number of people who haven't paid yet. So we've got a few queries as to whether they are still wanting the allotment or not. I'm hoping that I'll get a final answer from them this week, and then say we can decide whether we are going to cancel their agreement. There's a couple of plots at Cammack Lane that aren't being cultivated.
Yeah.
So we've suggested that we write to them or try to contact them to find out if there's any reason why they're not cultivating them, and if they still want the allotment.
Okay, so presumably at our next meeting then you will have either served in breach notices and probably will be able to update our list of what plots are free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are we...
Rebecca, how long do they get after? Well, how long did they get to pay?
So 40 days. If they don't pay within 40 days of the reminder.
Has it got past that now?
Well, the thing is, the reminders went out at the beginning of September. However, we've discovered that some people didn't receive them, or so we've reissued some.
Right. Okay, that gives them 40 days, yeah.
So emails were wrong, came bouncing back, you know, various anomalies. However, so 27th of November, 40 days after that.
That's okay then, yeah.
I think that's what we'll count it from.
Yeah. Okay then. So, and then hopefully, because I know Katie's had quite a lot sorting out to do, haven't you, with contact details and everything for Allotment Hill. So hopefully it will be a lot more streamlined from now on.
Yeah.
Which would be lovely. So, well, if there's nothing else on that, is there anything else for that, Katie? Just
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so if we go on to reviewing the draft community allotment tenancy, which was sent round by email, I believe, was it today, Rebecca?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, it was supposed to go out on Friday and I've forgotten about it. It's basically the same as the standard allotment tenancy agreement. What I have done is added a couple of other bits to it. So basically it will have the name of the community group, but the tenant will be the lead name and then responsible for the group members. That's going to be underlined. And then they will also have an additional statement at the bottom. At the end of the agreement, any fixed or temporary structures, including compost toilets or buildings, paving, etc., will be removed on the termination of the tenancy, or charge will be invoiced for the cost of removal.
Yeah.
So that if you get a community group and they've got a lot more stuff like the composting, the big buildings, they have to remove them, or I'm assuming we have to agree whether they're stopping or not, but that they know that they may have to remove them.
Yes.
Is
yes,
there anything else that you wanted on it? That I couldn't remember what, because it's that.
In paragraph 8, it talks about carpet and plastic sheeting. Well, we don't allow carpet now, do we?
Which tenancy agreement have you got?
The one that I actually got today, or got tonight.
Which clause?
8.
10.
Oh.
Carpet and plastic.
10.
Yeah.
We don't do carpet now. We'll allow that, and the plastic sheeting has got to be perforated. So
well, that's what I thought. That was what plastic sheeting designed for horticultural use meant. Do you understand the wording?
Isn't there?
Pardon?
I think there's different sorts, so maybe we should.
So permeable. Change it to
permeable, right then, yeah.
No
but
carpet.
The carpet side of it, we don't let carpet down now.
So the tenant shall only use permeable sheeting designed for horticultural use.
Well, that's fine for that then.
What I'll have to do is I'll have to reissue that to everybody, which won't be a bad idea if we reissue the tenancy agreements with that change to it, and then this becomes the community one.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
And on paragraph 8, there's just one word missing, i.e. it is to cut or prune. It's just got cut or prune.
The tenant shall not, without the written consent of the council.
No,
it's
comma cut.
Cut.
Yeah.
Comma cut.
Right, well, I thought you put to cut or prune. That's all. Easier for me.
No, I think it's all right as it is, that one.
All right, I'll thank you.
Okay. Right, so are you happy with that? So that that's the community one, and we'll issue that to the 2 groups, and then I'll reissue this this tenancy agreement to everybody and put a notice up on the notice boards. I'm just thinking it'll have to go out. Well, it should go out straight away if we've not, and also the policy document needs changing then if that's changed. So we need to reissue.
When does everybody get their rent reminder things? Because we changed the date when the next thing goes.
That's the other thing is, so we usually send them out September, and there was a decision made. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work.
Yeah.
For it to go out at the beginning of the growing season, April.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll be doing is we'll be reissuing a reminder this April, but we'll have to work out what people have paid and what is then due.
Yeah.
So they'll have paid for a year, but they won't. There's going to be, we're going to have to add on, or I'm going to have to work it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll only have to do that once, won't we? They'll just pay like.
This year will be the first time, and we'll have to explain we are changing the date of when your rents are due. Yeah. So for this year it will be this, which will cover. You've already paid this, we'll knock that off, but this is what we're due, and this is what you owe. And we'll have to do that all again in April. So we could do the tenancy agreement, and in fact by then we could have the proper full booklet of the allotment guidelines rather than just that policy document.
Well, I was thinking that's a good time to send the new tenancy agreements out. You do it all at the same time.
We've got 6 months to prepare that. Well, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a sensible time to do it all at one go, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have got a draft template of some guidelines. We've got a sample that we can fit. We can put our policy into a booklet along with the plot map, along with all the other bits and pieces, and that's your booklet of guidelines. It'll include the bonfire code. Instead of all getting separate bits of policies, it'll all be in a guideline booklet.
Yeah.
And that's
and
it.
Then we can do the pro rata amount or the
we'll have to work all that out, but we can do that on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then they can all get like a little pack and it'll all be
Yeah.
So everybody happy if we do that then? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Hand up pieces still.
Yeah. Rebecca, is that last paragraph, any fixed or temporary structures, does that go to all of them on the new?
Well, I would say so. We've always tried to have a light touch management of the allotments in terms of, because it can get very complicated if you start getting lots of restrictions and rules and regs. So what usually happens is if there's a shed on it and that person's taking it on with that shed, unless it's a new one and somebody wants some money for it, that goes with the plot. But if you've put something else on, so if you've done some strange structure or if you've done something that you shouldn't have done, you need to remove it. Or if it's something that would need upkeep, like the compost toilet. I think that was the worry of the councils previously. So there's a polytunnel on one on Cannock Lane, and the person who's left it would like some money for it. It's quite a large polytunnel. Now, when we re-let, we would do sort of a negotiation with the new tenant and say they would like this money, and if they don't want it, the previous tenant has to take it off. But that doesn't work if that person's moved away, which means we have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's quite complicated, really, and I think perhaps it should be on all of them, but I think it's in the guidelines. I think there is something.
Yeah.
I think perhaps it should be on all of them, or could we perhaps think
we could add it to all of them, as well as that change to the permeable thing. If you want it wording any differently, we could make it a little bit tighter than that.
Or perhaps could we do something along, because
So it
Like
could be
if it's a new tenant coming on, they might want to keep whatever structure is.
Yeah, so any fixed temporary structures,
Yeah.
compost buildings, so we could put polytunnels, we could give a few examples.
Yeah.
To be removed on the termination, or an agreement with the new tenant set in place with.
Sorry, Rebecca, that sounds fine, except who's going to do the negotiating?
What we tend to do.
It gives the extra work to you.
It does. Yeah. What we tend to do is we ask them if they'd be happy to be in touch with one another, because usually they're all local. And I would say, are you happy for me to give your contact number to the new tenant and you negotiate your price and whether you're having it or not? And I leave it to them, because they can go and meet them on site. People like to do a handover. So we generally leave that to them to sort out, so that we don't get involved in any wranglings with it.
But at least having this on it means that.
And then they know that if the person says, oh no, I don't actually want it, I'm not going to pay 30 quid for it, they have to get rid of it.
Yeah, and it saves us getting stuck with there's a couple of plots in there, they've got sort of.
Well, you get dilapidated buildings on all sorts of corrugated sheeting on and all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah.
So yeah,
I will keep out of any, when I say negotiation, I might facilitate it in terms of putting them in touch with one another, but I wouldn't be going backwards and forwards between them.
Okay.
So we could put in addition to be removed, or an agreement to be made with a new tenant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Directly with the new tenant.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. So it doesn't involve you.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Less work.
Yeah. Well, no, you can be there for weeks where they don't come back to you, and then they decide they don't want to, or yeah. Okay. Right. What I could do is I'll redraft this, and what I'll do is I can send it round with the minutes from the meeting, so that we can approve that at full council on the 21st. So you get to see it again.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So anything else to add on that, or all happy with that arrangement?
That's it for the community.
Right. Okay. So if we go on to item 7 then, which is waiting list and vacant plots, which I think Katie has.
Yes, I have sent a report out, but there's been some updates since that got sent out on Friday. At the moment, we still have 11 people on the waiting list. At the moment, there's no vacant plots at Dog Meadow. Obviously, if some decide that they aren't paying, then we can terminate them, and those plots will become available. And there is 2 vacant plots at Cammack Lane. Obviously, there is the 3 plots at Dog Meadow that we've discussed that are waiting to be cleared, so that would free up those 3. And at the minute, there's 2 plots at Cammack Lane that are not being cultivated, which I will chase up and see if they are still wanting those plots.
Okay. I'm assuming that our list now is just settled residents and not people on the waiting list that live, for example, Giggleswick or Langcliffe or something like that.
It's just settled.
Just settled residents. That's what we agreed at the last meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah. With regards to the financial number 5, the legal and financial comments, at the moment now, as it stands, Dog Meadow, we have 3 rents outstanding, which is a shortfall of £96. And Cammack Lane, we now have 7 rents outstanding, shortfall of £208.
Right, so that's quite a lot actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I have spoken to quite a few people today. Some did say they haven't received their initial reminder, and they have promised that they will either pop a check in the post or do a bank transfer. So I'll be looking at that on a daily basis and keeping an eye on who's paid and who's still outstanding.
Okay. Right, that's great, thank you. So next one then is item 8, which is the financial update for 2020-2021.
So we've got a shortfall of £96 on Dog Meadow in terms of allotments still to come in, 208 on Cammack Lane. We've not spent very much of the expenditure budget. We've still got nearly about 90% of that left. So in this next 6 months, if we've got drainage work, tree work, etc., walling.
Yeah, have we got enough to cover all of
Once
that?
we get the quotes in, I'll bring it to the council so that we can agree once we know how much is after site visits and stuff and what things are going to cost.
Yeah.
But we have got money in the budget to cover, depending on what the full cost is going to be for all of the works we've just agreed tonight.
Right, okay. So, is that it for that one then?
Yeah.
Great. So item 9 then is to receive the National Allotments Society AGM and conference on the 12th of June 2021. Do we know yet, is that likely to be virtual, Rebecca?
Well, it's because it's on the 12th of June. They've sent all the details out as though people are stopping over. They're giving us bed and breakfast rates and things like that.
Right, and where is it?
It's Colchester.
Right.
So I mean, we haven't been in the past. We are a member of the Allotment Association, but it's not a conference we go to. But
no.
If anybody was really keen, that would have to be agreed at council because it would cost. What is it? Yeah.
Well, presumably we'll get the minutes from it, won't we? Now we're
I'm
members.
assuming so, yeah. And there might be some interesting information in that. But yeah, you can stay over if you don't want to.
Yeah. So if we just perhaps note that it's happening at the minute, and hopefully we'll get the minutes from that.
Yeah.
Place. Okay.
Yeah.
And number 10 is future agenda items. Do we have any currently? Oh, I think we should have a report back on well, that's a standard agenda item, isn't it? Vacancies and waiting lists and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it'll just be that.
So the next meeting's February.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're December now, January, February, it's probably going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get quotes, have site meetings, etc. for all the works. So if I bring all that back to 22nd and then once approved, it's all set up, we can go with that and get it done by the end of the year.
I'm just thinking, when we do the site meetings to have a look at this flooding and that sort of thing, is it also worth having a look at that point of those people that we know keep hens and check that they are all inside?
Yeah.
They are complying.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if we do it after the 14th, because the 14th is when it's got to that's when it's got to happen.
Yeah.
So if I do
we do it after that, and then we can
check it before we finish.
Yeah. So we're all compliant.
So between the 14th and 21st.
Yeah.
When we've got full council meeting, I'll arrange a site visit.
Yeah.
What date?
Between the 14th and the 21st, I'll send a date out, or I'll send a couple of dates out.
Is it worth doing it before the 21st? Because that's our next full council, then we can perhaps.
And then we can agree it at full council if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, we could approve it earlier, which means we could get work done earlier. Yeah. Yeah. So if I put everything's to be ready for the 21st.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a squeeze, but I think we should be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay then. So if there's nothing else to go on the agenda currently, it's just to confirm next meeting 22nd of February.
Yeah. But we'll be able to.
At the minute, it'll be virtual, won't it?
It still will be. We might all be back in serious lockdown by then.
We'll have had vaccine by then, won't we?
We'll all be vaccinated.
So if there's nothing else, then
like this.
So I think that's meeting closed then.
So meeting closed at 19:49.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I will do is I'll close this meeting now and then we'll go on to the
rejoin on the next one.
Yeah.
And then rejoin the other one. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to turn the recording off, Rebecca?
Yes, I will. Thank you. I forget to start it and forget to